Here's some words I never thought I'd be writing this year. The Indians are going to the World Series. I would argue this, that yes, the Indians have gone to the World Series in 95 and 97 and 48, but this is the most unlikely, most lovable tribe team ever to go to the World Series.
Indians and the Cubs, and to hear the national media speak anyway, wouldn't think the Indians have a big chance. And probably on paper, that's the way a lot of people
fine, they have no
so.
chance. They have no chance against Boston, no chance against Toronto. Cavs had no chance against Golden State.
Right,
Here's what we want to do. This is the why not year in Cleveland. The Indians, they act as if, you know, they just kind of squeaked by to get to the World Series. How many games in the postseason did they lose?
None. Well, one. So,
okay,
yeah,
so you don't even remember. No.
Right, yeah.
And how many errors did they make?
One.
Yeah, and Brian Shaw was the only one.
Right, yeah.
How many cutoff men did they miss?
I can't think of any right off the top of my head.
Name one pitcher actually even had a really bad outing in the postseason. You know, it's hard to do that.
Right.
So in other words, they played terrific defense. They played smart baseball. Bullpen was outstanding. Even the starters. So here's my point. It's not an accident they're there. They are playing their best baseball right now on the biggest stage under the most pressure. Now the Cubs won, how many games was it?
103.
103. And, you know, you can run all the analytics, you know, forget it. Let's close down the World Series now. Chicago could have its parade and all the little Cubby fans could be happy.
Here we are at the end of October, standing in Wrigley Field. Indians beating the Cubs 1-0. And I'll tell you, the sweetest sound of silence came when the Cubs had runners in second and third, 2 outs in the ninth. Cody Allen strikes out Javier Baez, and suddenly, here we go, Cubbies, let's go Cubbies, and there was nothing. And I thought, this is so cool. The Indians now are 2 games away, 2 victories away from the World Series. As Terry Francona said before the game, it doesn't matter really whether the Cubs have been the better team over the regular season than the Indians or not. The Indians, basically, it's a race to 4 games. The Indians are up 2-1. I mean, what a game. Coco Crisp is your hero with the base hit. 4 relievers. Josh Tomlin pitching in front of his father, who's been battling a serious illness. You know, they want this to be a Cubs storybook season. Well, so far, the story's been the Indians.
Grit of this team and the competitiveness and drive that we've got going, and we're on a mission right now.
Yeah, you're breaking a lot of hearts, I think.
I love it. Good. I hope I break all of them.
Yeah, you should know better than anybody.
Yeah, I hope I break every single one of them. I want to come home for Thanksgiving, Christmas, I want to off season, and I just want to have a smile on my face when I look at all these Cub shirts.
do you guys revel in not being the favorite of being that other team?
Kind of. The pressure's on them. That's everyone. All you hear is them talking about the Cubs or whoever we've been playing, and it allows us just to get ready for ball games. We don't have to worry about expectations or living up to certain things. We can just go out and play the game of baseball, which we're pretty good at.
And it seems weird to say this about a team in the World Series, but are you guys underrated? Are you people not giving you guys enough credit?
What do you think? You haven't heard anything about us? You probably got guys coming off the bench you don't even know the names of. And so, yeah, there's a lot of... We like to just go worry about ourselves and play the game of baseball and compete, and that's all we're caring about.
Chip, you guys have thrown 5 shutouts in the postseason. What is it?
It tells me my staff's awesome. It tells me my staff is feeling good right now. And it's definitely a team thing. You'll have games where Kluber's dominant and he'll go 7 or so, but the rest of them have been 5 innings and then turn it over to the bullpen. So those guys have been staying ready and doing their jobs better than anybody else I've seen.
He's coming up on like 250 innings for the year now, and just to be able to continue to pitch the way he's doing, just what does it say about him?
Yeah, it kind of says, you know, what kind of a competitor he is. You know, he's probably running on fumes and he's not letting it bother him. You know, we'll take him over anybody every day. It's unbelievable the things that he's doing in this postseason and the way he's doing it. I'm really proud of him, and all his hard work is really paying off for him right now.
Mickey, what do you expect from Trevor Bauer tomorrow?
You know what? I expect him to go out there and do the same thing that Kluber did today. Go out there, pound the zone, no matter what kind of approach they're taking. Follow Roberto Perez's lead, because Roberto's been putting some good fingers down the whole postseason. And like I said, pound the zone. That's the main thing.
I'm sitting here in Wrigley Field, and I think it was when Jason Kipnis hit that 3-run homer that hit me. Something has dramatically changed in the Cleveland sports landscape. I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? The Indians are going to win this game, the last game. I have not had the usual anxiety I have about the Cleveland teams blowing it. And I think it goes all the way back to the Cavaliers. And not just they won the title, but think about it. Golden State was supposed to be America's favorite team. The warm and fuzzy on Steph Curry, all that. The Cavs came back and took them out. The Cubs, oh my goodness, the nation just fawning all over the Cubs. The Indians are supposed to be the Washington Generals. Just lay down for these guys, but here they are, they're up 3-1. Right now, so much is going so right. I mean, just an example. Right before the game, Terry Francona said he spent hours trying to decide, do I play Carlos Santana or Mike Napoli tonight? In the postseason, Santana's hitting 136, Napoli 184. Who do I go to? Who do I go to? Finally decided to go with Santana. What happened? Santana hits a homer. He has 3 hits. Right now, the Indians are 10-2 in the postseason. They got a manager batting 1,000.
So what you saw to Corey Kluber last night, that's what the Cubs were hoping with John Lester to prolong their season. He did exactly what you had to do. But I want to let everybody know at home, when you saw what happened in Game 2, that was kind of the Indians beating themselves. I don't forecast that on Tuesday night. They're going to be ready to go. Everybody behind us and everybody over there is going to be ready to put these guys over the top.
I'm standing in a very festive, happy Wrigley Field where the Cubs just beat the Indians 3-2. All right, the Indians lost a game. If we'd have thought about this, the fact that the Indians would have won 2 out of 3 in Wrigley Field, and they're coming home with a 3-2 advantage in the World Series, you sign up for that any time. So, they just happen to lose a game here, the type of game they've been winning for several weeks. When the Indians come home, they have Josh Tomlin and Corey Kluber lined up. Those 2 guys are a combined 6-1 in the postseason. They have a 1.18 ERA. I still feel good about it. I think the Indians are going to survive this. They're going to take it in Cleveland, and we'll be celebrating a title at home.
I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the Indians losing 9-3 to the Cubs in Game 6. Bad game. Not much to say about it other than there's Game 7. And other than the fact the Indians have Corey Kluber pitching this game. And if Terry Francona could pick anybody who'd want to pitch this game, it would be Kluber. Not only that, he'd be happy to have Andrew Miller and Cody Allen rested. So in terms of having your pitching lined up, they're in great shape. This will still be a great game, even if you felt, oh my goodness, we're up 3-1, they're going to blow this series to the Cubs, all this stuff. So I guess one of the things I'm saying is why, hey, I'm shaky and I'm worried about the game. I'm excited the fact there is a Game 7 here. The Indians pitching is in much better shape today than it was going into the game of Game 6, where Josh Tomlin, they always call him the little cowboy. The little cowboy just kind of ran out of gas, and it was 7-0 going in the bottom of the 3rd. So let's forget that game. On to Game 7. Indians and Cubs in the World Series. Whoever thought that would be happening in Cleveland this year? I was thinking about this as the Indians lost 8-7 to the Cubs in the World Series. This is one of the great World Series games of all time. But if you're a Tri fan, you go, but we lost. And you just wish that your team could have put that big hit at one point, or you just look at it again, I'm sighing and I'm thinking back how Corey Kluber was really out of gas in this game. Andrew Miller gave up more hard hit balls, gave up 2 runs in this game, more hard hit balls than probably all year with the Indians. I'm sure it's in 2 months. The day before in Game 6, Josh Tomlin was out of gas. One of my kind of bromides is that when you're playing a team in a playoff series, and that team is more talented than you do, you've got to beat them as quickly as possible. The longer the series goes, or even in this case, the longer the game goes, the more likely they are to win. The Indians were up 3-1. They just couldn't get it done. I mean, I enjoyed this season. I enjoyed watching the World Series till this game, till right now.
and there's a lot to hope for next year, but right now I think a lot of us just feel a little empty inside. Feel a little empty inside. Feel a little empty inside.
The Cubs win the World Series! Bryant makes the play! It's over! And the Cubs have finally won it all! 8-7-10!
The new world champion, and the city of Chicago is one big happy clubhouse.